All right, welcome back to the channel. So looks like it's official. Manny Pacquiao is going to take part in an absolutely unnecessary, ridiculous fight against Conor McGregor instead of facing either Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford to unify a division. And even though I can understand why Manny Pacquiao might go for the easy money, um, it's truly, truly disappointing for the sport of boxing, man. I'm getting tired of it. But let's talk about that. And also, now that Manny Pacquiao's acting like he's not a fighter, what should happen with that WBA belt? Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, the 7-division world champion, not 8, 7. Ricky Hatton was for the IBO. That is not a real belt. So 7-division world champion, future Hall of Famer, one of the best fighters to do it this century for certain. One of the best fighters I've seen, biggest spectacular stars I've seen in my lifetime in boxing, the great Manny Pacquiao, has announced that he is going to fight Conor McGregor in a rematch, or excuse me, in a redo of some nonsense that people regretted buying the first time. Now, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. took place in 2017. And it made a lot of money for Floyd Mayweather Jr. and it made a lot of money for Conor McGregor, but it did not do a doggone thing for the sport of boxing. I pretty much, everybody that I know of that bought that fight felt that they were unsatisfied with the fight, even though the undercard had decent fights on it. Like Badu Jack, I can't remember, Badu Jack fought Nathan Cleverly, and Gervonta Davis fought Francisco Fonseca. But for the most part, everybody that bought that fight felt as if they had been ripped off. In fact, Floyd Mayweather Jr. comes into the ring wearing a ski mask. Like, I can't believe all these dummies just paid to see me beat this guy up. And I'm going to make, what did it do? It was like the second biggest gate in the history of Las Vegas, with something like, 60 something million dollars at the gate to see Conor McGregor in a absolutely ridiculous mismatch against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Right? So, but hey, people went for it. Now let's do it again with Manny Pacquiao. A older Manny Pacquiao, a Conor McGregor who's got knocked out by Floyd Mayweather Jr., then went back into MMA and got knocked out by Khabib. So I'm trying to understand what even the big draw with Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao would be. Like, now, the fight, to talk about the fight itself for a second, before we get into what really matters, which is, dude, that Manny Pacquiao need to give up that belt, man. But they're supposed to be going over there to fight somewhere out in the Middle East, right? And they were going to give a portion of it, of the funds for the fight, to the people of the Philippines. Now, I don't mind that at all, man. I don't mind the good gesture or whatever it is, but this had better not be for a WBA title. The last fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor is actually on the record for Floyd Mayweather Jr. as an official boxing match. If Conor McGregor is allowed to fight for the WBA title, despite the fact that Conor McGregor is 0-1 in his professional career, and at the end of the fight would be 0-2 in his professional boxing career, but yet one of them would have been for the WBA Super 147-pound title, man, does boxing have no integrity whatsoever? Of course, we already know the answer to that, and the answer to that is no. So if this fight is for the WBA title, then this is a duck for sure of Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. But this is something, though, that we've been saying you knew was coming for a while. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford are not going to get a Manny Pacquiao fight. Manny Pacquiao is going to probably, now if he fights Conor McGregor, then he will come back and fight Mikey Garcia, and then he will retire. And neither Terence Crawford nor Errol Spence Jr. are going to get a shot at that WBA belt, which means more than likely that there's not going to be any type of unification going on at 147 pounds. Thank you to Mr. Manny Pacquiao. Because if you look at the amount of time that it will take for that fight to pop off, you'll see that it's not in the cards. Conor McGregor in the UK, or excuse me, Conor McGregor, Manny Pacquiao off in Qatar or wherever it is. They said that's going to happen in 2021. So that's one fight in 2021. What would be the second fight in 2021 for Mikey Garcia? You think he's going to go to Errol Spence? Absolutely, positively not. Manny Pacquiao had an opportunity to fight Errol Spence already for Errol Spence Jr.'s belt, but decided he wasn't going to do it and took the softer touch in Keith Thurman. So again, the people in the welterweight division, this is just the thing about boxing, man. Like, it's money over everything, to the point of just things can be so ridiculous looking that they just don't care, that the individual person or the individual promoter that's responsible for it is just going to get his money, and they don't care how the rest of boxing looks, man. This is like this weekend, we have a fight between Jermell Charlo and Jason Rosario for the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF belts, right? And it is supposed to be the belts that make these fights matter. But you have, when I walk by and I talk to people who are just regular boxing fans, and that's when you really do get a sense of what the casual boxing fans are thinking about. The first thing that I heard is, "Oh, did you know Mike Tyson is fighting Roy Jones Jr.? Oh, who do you think is going to win that fight? Man, do you think Roy Jones Jr. can make it through the fight? His last time I saw him fight, which was the last fight I saw, I saw him get knocked out by Antonio Tarver, and I haven't watched boxing since. But that type of conversation going on, man. So now it's going to be, Manny Pacquiao. So Manny Pacquiao is going to fight Conor McGregor. What do you think? Yeah, and I'll tell you what I think. I think that this is ridiculous. I think that this is absolutely ridiculous, and this is the fault of the media. This is the fault of these promoters, man. This is not the fault of these fighters. Man, the media has been trying to ignore American fighters and push this whole Eastern Europeans are dominating the sport of boxing. They're dominating the sport of boxing. Well, number one, they're getting shots at titles with less than 10 fights, right? So, they get enough shots at it, but they're also killing boxing's popularity, because don't nobody care about them. There's another video that I'm going to do about the fact that the Terence Crawford fight versus Kell Brook might be in trouble, because Bob Arum cannot get Sky Sports or BT to pick up the fight. But yet you can get Vasyl Lomachenko. ESPN is willing to have Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. They're willing to pick up that fight. But a legitimate, solid welterweight fight for a world championship fight might not happen, because Terence Crawford does not care, and Kell Brook did not carry enough interest in the UK for these guys to pick up the fight. And ESPN, an American network, won't put up the extra money for a fight. But they were willing to put that extra money up there for Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, despite the fact that the biggest fights that ESPN could be trying to make with the fighters that they currently have is with Terence Crawford and the welterweight division. Because Terence Crawford has a potential fight with Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford has a potential fight if Manny Pacquiao, if the subject of this video wasn't Manny Pacquiao, ducking Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, he would have an opportunity to fight that too. It's a money division. He has an opportunity to fight to Keith Thurman. It's a money division. The lightweight division is not a big money division. So why wouldn't they support Terence Crawford and be willing to, to support the actual American champion? No, they want to support the Ukrainian champion, the champion from the Ukraine, because that's what Bob Arum and the boxing media has been trying to sell you for years. That ain't nobody buying. So as a result of that nonsense, we have to keep going back to the great days of yesteryear to get Mike Tyson and Joe and Roy Jones to fight each other, or Evander Holyfield to come out, or Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. to fight on the undercard for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. This is the type of nonsense that's getting pushed in this Conor McGregor Manny Pacquiao thing ain't any different. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that amount, peace.